Hello, my name is Gina and I'm kind of a crappy white girl. I never got the whole messy bun thing down. Okay, today is going to be a little bit of a different video than we typically would do because we're actually doing two very different first impressions, and I'm kind of not going to show you much of anything else. So today, this is actually a second impression. I got a Rephr brush. If you don't know what Rephr is this really cool brush company who is coming out with a line of luxury natural hair brushes, but the way that they've approached this is in the best tradition of user experience and product designers, in that they made a bunch of prototypes and they've been sending things out to makeup artists, to influencers, to get reviews and feedback so that they can improve the design of the line and the brushes. And I missed out on the first wave of testing of this, which made me really sad, but I got a smaller version of their face brush to try out, and I'm very excited about trying it. So this is the prototype name is P11A. This is the smaller version of the flat top kabuki foundation brush that they made in the first go. So we're going to try this out, but full disclosure, I have used this once already before. I got it Friday and couldn't keep my hands off of it. Then the other thing we're going to be trying out is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Eye Primer. Now, you guys know that I am a slave devotee, madly in love with the Smashbox 24-hour primer. I have very oily lids, and that primer is the only one that keeps my eyeshadows from creasing. But my bestie came up, Rachel, she came up and she got this as a sample and brought it to me, and I'm very curious to try it out. So we're gonna be trying both of these things on camera, but kind of in a weird hodgepodge way. All that being said, let's just go ahead and get started with the eye primer. Okay, I'm back. My brows and I are going through some things. Don't judge me. So let's give this a shot. I don't have anything else down. This is marketing itself. I probably have way too much. This is marketing itself as an eye primer, not an eye base. So I didn't put down my Smashbox stuff, and I'm just gonna give that a tappy tap. I will be very transparent in that, like, I don't expect very much. I really don't. I don't expect it to protect my eyeshadows. I don't expect it to really do anything that I need, just because it feels kind of more oily, and I'm just like, yeah, this feels more like a base to me. But if coverage in your primer is something that matters to you, it seems to be pretty good. I did get way too much. Oof. It kind of like splurted out, which I feel like I heard is a thing that happens with it. Sometimes you remember and sometimes you don't. I really have no idea what I'm going to be doing for my eye look, so once I get this patted in for you, you're gonna have another cut to when I decided what to do. Eating my mirror as I do. So let me figure out what the hell I'm doing with my eye makeup, and I'll be back. I think I'm gonna do something orangey, reddy, something. If you ever had a desire to know like how I do my makeup on the regular, it's about like this. What am I gonna do? I don't know until I dip my brush into the first thing. So I'm gonna take Sydney Grace's Gulf Coast. Well, maybe I won't because I've used that recently. I'm trying to spread the love around. I'm gonna take Harvest by Sydney Grace with one of my flat brushes, flat and fluffy, and I'm gonna put that right in the crease. So I don't know if you can see, but the primer has already started to crease, so I'm not, I don't feel super hopeful for the longevity of this makeup look. I had a feeling that would happen. But it seems to be drying out, so maybe I only have to tap it out the one time. Seems to be applying shadow well. I will say, at least in terms of a base, I feel like I do kind of appreciate this a bit more than I do the P. Louise one, just because it dried down to be a bit more, you know, dry, and then, but it's still really, really like picking up my eyeshadow. But sometimes with the P. Louise base, and to be fair, I might put too much on, it can feel like the base just steals all of my eyeshadow immediately as soon as I put it down. This is not like a thing where you should be like judging my eyeshadow ability, because I'm just kind of throwing some stuff on and I'm gonna be editing for the rest of my day. I just, you know, you just need that like daily hit of creativity sometimes. Next, I'm taking Tangerine from Sydney Grace, which is a burnt orange. I'm gonna feather that out here. And then I'll take a yellow color and do the last bit of building. The yellow that I'm using is Maze from Cleona Cosmetics. I do like how everything is kind of blending on top. So far, I mean, other than the fact that there was that initial creasing, which doesn't seem to have reasserted itself, it seems to be going pretty well. I'm grabbing a brown. This is Overshadow by Sydney Grace, and I'm just gonna kind of tap off a bunch of it and just give a little bit of darkness to the crease area and my outer corner, of course. Kind of skipped this area, but I don't want to add like a bunch more because I'd be afraid of it being too dark. I'm gonna go back in with my red. Just go over it to make sure it's not too, like, that it's red and not brown. I really don't need to be talking about any of this because we're just talking about the primer in this video, but you know, habits and shit. Okay, so since this primer has some coverage to it, I'm gonna try to use it to cut my crease as well and see how that goes. So it definitely is not as opaque as like a concealer or the P. Louise base. It is, you know, picking up a bunch of this red and it's getting mixed, which I do expect that, and I do anticipate that from other bases that I use. So it's not like a deal breaker, but I do think it's also not as bright as other ones that I've used. Or not bright, but it's not as opaque. So tapping that out, and that's definitely got some pull, like it's pulling a lot more on my skin than other primers and other things would. I'm gonna go back and give it a second layer to kind of build up the blankness of it. And I can kind of see it like bunching up some. I can kind of see it pulling on what was underneath, so maybe the second layer wasn't the best plan. And then do the same on the other eye. It gets tacky, right? So because it's a primer, it's got a lot more stick to it and it gets stickier faster. So I don't know how I feel about using this to cut the crease, because I typically need things to be a little bit more softer and emollient for a bit longer. Okay, and with that done, I'm gonna go in with some golds and yellows on the lid. I think that I have used all of my golds and yellows from my temporary palette, so now I'm just like, well, I really shouldn't. Need to spread the love. But I'm going to anyway. It's Sunday, it's fine. So this is Lemonade by Sydney Grace. It seems to be adhering very well, but I think it's more, at least when you first put it down, it's very much in that camp of, I'm gonna pull, like I'm just gonna glue your eyeshadow down, whereas once it dries a little bit, you can blend a little bit easier. So my suggestion would be, like, for your mattes and your crease shades, to give it, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute to dry, and then for like your shimmers and stuff that you're not really wanting to blend per se, that you can go ahead and go right in. In the interest of spreading the love, I'm gonna go in with an orange. This is Orange Emperor by Touch of. So the eyes are done. No other commentary on the primer at this point. Before I go to do my under eye, I will check on the creasing situation. But now we're gonna do foundation with the little Rephr brush. I watched Angelica Nyquist talk about her larger version of this, and she says it's really good for full coverage foundation. So I'm going to do that as well, at least to start out. This is the Juvia's Place I Am Magic foundation. And it is, I'm struggling to decide whether or not it is too light for my skin, because when I am like warm, if it's a little warm in the room, or if I've been moving around a bunch, this area of my chest and like my neck become very flushed. And so it's really easy for foundation to look too light on me. But and then on top of that, this foundation takes a little while to dry down, and it has a rather dramatic drying shift. So it actually looks a good bit darker than, sorry, I'm shuffling things around on my desk. Let's just have some noise. It looks a good bit darker after it's dried down than it does when I first put it on. So it's kind of I'm still deciding. Anyway, I'm gonna go in with this brush. The first time that I used this, I was actually very pleasantly surprised by how fast it was. Like, this is a small brush and I have a big head. So I was really expecting to have to be here for a while buffing foundation, but it really did a great job in terms of like moving product around, not picking up too much on the brush, and the finish it gives is very smooth and even. So I was very impressed by that. I think a bigger brush would be nicer and potentially even faster. Now this does shed, and natural hair brushes do shed a bit when you first get them. I'm gonna take this and rub it on my towel a bit to get out some of the excess product. And this is something that I find with all brushes that I do, because, you know, the brush is absorbing some of the product. That's how it does what it does. but sometimes it can make the hairs clump together, and that will give you like a more streaky finish of your foundation. As we all know, I do like brushes that allow me to get in between my eyebrows, so that's really good. I'm gonna kind of grab my mirror here for a second. So the Rephr like brand their hopes for their brushes that they're multitaskers. So I want to try and use this with as much, like in terms of different product as I can before I like give them feedback. I think this could be really good for cream contour, at least for a face of my size. I've got a really big face, and I think I still have my cream contour, so maybe we'll try that too. And then cream blush could also be really good. But before that, I'm gonna try it with my concealer. Now, I did try this with my concealer the other night, and I didn't love it. I do still prefer a sponge for my concealer, but it's also kind of like, I very rarely care enough to get up and wet a sponge just for concealer, and I do prefer a brush for my foundation, so it very often ends up being the case that I just use a brush for my concealer when I'm also using a brush for my foundation. So, you know, its performance on concealer matters to me. I have yet to see my face. Typically when I'm doing like my foundation and concealer, I'll like put my glasses back on and like check and make sure. But like that whole process actually looks really dumb because, well, I guess you'll see it because I have to kind of perch my glasses in a way that it doesn't disturb the product underneath. Let's see. Yeah, so I kind of have to like, and I will say this does look a bit more textured than what I used the other night, but I did use a different foundation altogether the other night, so I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. I'm gonna kind of swirl it on my washcloth. Yep, I think that looks good enough. So let's grab some powder. Oh, just my under eyes because we're gonna try cream. See, I remember that. But you see, like when I took off my glasses, it brought some of the concealer with it, which is really annoying. So I have to come back in here. One of the things that I actually am interested in this brush for is to carry with me throughout the day to do things like that, to touch up where my glasses sat. So we'll see what I feel like it is best suited for when I'm done playing with it. And to be honest, we can also try this brush with powder contour most likely. I just need to probably clean it first, because I don't want the cream of like the foundation and the powder, or the cream of the foundation to mess with the powder of the like bronzer and stuff. So let me, so this is mostly zhuzhed out. I'm gonna grab my Shade and Light contour palette, which is cream. This is the cream one. I don't know why the cream one needed to be plastic, but apparently it is. So these colors are different than the powder one, so I'm just gonna go in with the contour shade to be safe because I know it kind of works. Getting that on my brush. Cream contour still like frightens me. Like contour and bronzer for cream, like, but I put down a lot. But like this, the warm bronze shade is just, it's just too dark. So I don't really have access to a cream bronzer. You know, I might actually go ahead and use a powder with this because one of the big reservations I have about the Rephr brushes, and I hope that it's okay that I say this, is that like, yes, they are supposed to be multitasker brushes, but I kind of am very skeptical about their ability to do and be so, because it really depends on like who's using it, right? Like for someone like me who does their makeup primarily on themselves, doesn't really work on other people that much. The problem that I have is that like I use this brush for foundation and I might like wipe it off when I'm done, but I don't clean it after I'm done. So I really wouldn't be able to, for instance, use this for blush and then the next time I pick it up, use it for foundation instead, or maybe even potentially use it for foundation and blush and bronzer and all that in the same look. And I think that, you know, kind of listening and hearing the Rephr kind of marketing stuff in terms of like, these are like the last brushes you'll ever need and we want people to have fewer brushes, it's like, well, it doesn't really work that way, because unless the artist is going to be cleaning their brushes in between application, like that's not gonna work. And then if you're asking like a working makeup artist to clean one brush in between like applications of different product, that's a lot to ask. And that's a lot for them to do when for a lot of working makeup artists, speed is important. So I guess I'm not gonna have bronzer at least until a bit later. So I'm going to take the ColourPop blush stick. This is the only like cream blush that I have. And I am told, this is what my Instagram folks told me, is that warming it up on the back of the hand makes it a little bit more flexible so it won't pick up your foundation. We'll see. It's not really a blush that goes with this look. The brush is soft. I know that this is one of the things that people always talk about with the Rephr brushes, they're soft. I do think, well, I was going to say like that I wonder how much of that is like, these are people's first like natural hair brushes, their first like luxury brushes. But I know that Haley, I don't know her last name, but she does beauty news. She really likes luxury brushes and she also really likes these. So I don't think that's a huge deal. I think that applied very well, actually. I'm relatively impressed. It's a bit, even for me, a bit sheer in terms of blush, so I might go in with a little bit more. But at least from as far as I can tell, it's not picking up my foundation, so that's a plus for this particular blush. I do like that this is a brush that you can use with stippling motions and also sweeping motions. I think that is nice. I did put on a little bit more blush to kind of hopefully counter the fact that like I don't have I don't have bronzer on, so I don't look too one-dimensional. And I'm gonna like as you can tell, I'm bringing it up here a bit too. But I have to say, just in terms of the blush sticks, like the person who on my Instagram like responded to my thing like, I hate this, like it picks up my foundation, and told me like, you know, I put it on the back of my hand. I was like, okay, I hear that. But if that's true, like what's the point of having it in a stick? Like if you still have to like, I mean, essentially you have to do another step, because with a powder blush, you put your brush in it and then you put it on your face. But apparently with this stuff, you have to put it on your hand, then put it on a brush, and then put it on your face. And she said that she uses it for travel. So there you go. Let me take a look. There's like a weird patchiness here, but like because there's patchiness here, I can't, because now there's blush and contour on this, I can't exactly like pick this back up and go fix this. I would have to have another brush, which I don't have. And because I've like wiped it off, I don't have any like leftover foundation on it that I would be able to use to go in and fix that. So like that's not really anything about this brush in particular, but it is a reason why I am somewhat skeptical of the multitasker brush thing. Yeah, so even after I wiped it off, it still had some of that blush and stuff on it. So like with foundation, it's not a huge deal because basically what's gonna happen is just gonna like make your contour, bronzer, cream, whatever that you're doing less pigmented. But now that I had to go back in with foundation, the blush mixed in and it now looks kind of pink there, but I'm not that fussed about it. So let's try a highlight. Gonna go in with the highlight stick. Again, on the back of my hand, get this product there. I can't see the glow is probably too subtle for me to be able to see without my glasses. We're just gonna have to go a little bit on faith. You can see what's happening, but I cannot. I mean, I'd say that's a soft glow, which is what I would expect from using like a dense brush like this. I use a similarly shaped brush for my base highlight all the time. I mean, like these colors in terms of like the eyeshadow look, they just don't, in my opinion, they don't go super well together. So don't come for me on that. Let me pick up some powder and see if I can like powder my forehead lines. I remember powdering with that brush the first time that I used it, and I didn't particularly care for how it laid powder down. Okay, so that is, I think, all I have in terms of first impressions for this round. I will go ahead and finish up the rest of the look and show you. But do kind of let me know if you think this foundation is a decent match. I'm not very warm, so I think my chest is okay. I think it's, I can't tell. Let me know. Tell me what you think, because I can't decide. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of my face, and I will be back to talk about final thoughts. Okay, here's the final look. I don't know if anybody notices ever, but I'm trying out lashes. I put on lashes, which is unusual for me. I typically don't wear them. These are Kiss lashes, and I believe it's called Little Black Dress. If you ever wanted to know how blind I am, this is how blind I am. Anyway, these are the Kiss lashes in Little Black Dress. I also have the ColourPop Ultra Satin Lip in Fortune Favors on. And yeah, this is it. In terms of first impressions with regard to the primer, I think it's fine. I didn't notice any creasing from, the past maybe half an hour, 45 minutes that I've been kind of sitting here doing other stuff. It works just fine. I will keep an eye on it throughout the day and see how it goes, and I will do my best to remember to put that update in the description box to see how that works. I don't anticipate it being like my new holy grail primer, but I also I don't think I would have any kind of issue like using this at all. As far as the brush, I think that's going to be a much longer process to really decide how I feel about it. But so far, so good. It definitely does what it aims to do. Like I said, I think that I would really enjoy having that larger brush for foundation. I think that my subsequent tests will probably be using it for things like contour and bronzer, because I think that's part of what it's being made for. I just happen to be looking for a foundation brush. So we'll continue to kind of talk about it and check in. I am obligated to give them feedback, and I want to give them feedback. I mentioned in one of my first Get Ready With Me's, if not the first Get Ready With Me, that this project is actually very close to my heart because professionally I'm a UX designer, and user testing is incredibly important to making a good product. So I'm super interested in participating in this, and I'm very excited too. So that is, I think, all I have to say. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please do give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below, particularly if you have experience with either of the things that I'm doing a first impression on. If you like me and my flowing red hair that does not always flow, please do also subscribe to the channel. I upload on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, at least for the foreseeable future. You can find me on the internet at Faces by Gina. I have an Instagram and a Facebook where I upload looks every single day. Actually, that's not true. I only upload looks Monday through Friday. I just realized I've been lying for the past like 2.5 months. Very exciting. I hope that you're having a great day no matter where you are, and please do remember to think critically, engage the world around you as you are being good to yourself and being good to others. I'll see you out there on the internet. Bye.